Welcome to the Dr. Mudgil podcast. This is episode 165. We are smack dab in the middle of January. It is cold here in New York. It was actually really cold last week, and it got kind of moderate, and now it's going to be freezing again. But you know what? It feels right. It's supposed to be cold in New York in January. The last couple of winters have been unseasonably warm, which I'm not going to complain about because, as you know, the older I get, the more I hate the cold. But it feels like winter, and it just makes me look forward to spring even more. This is actually our first live recorded podcast in the new year, so it's good to be back in front of the mic. We kind of bundled up a bunch of content towards the end of last year to get the year started, but we're back and we're hitting the ground running, so it's good to be back. And I actually I'm going to use this podcast to talk about something I saw I think it was last week. So I'm a big basketball fan, as you may or may not know. And Derrick Rose, who is or was or is probably still an amazing basketball player. He's retired now. He had a couple of stints with the Knicks. And so, I'm a Knicks fan and I'm a Derrick Rose fan. But it was towards kind of like, it was after he got injured. So he came out of college. He was a number one draft pick in the 2008 NBA draft. He was the 2009 Rookie of the Year. He played for the Bulls, was absolutely incredible. Was three-time NBA All-Star. But got injured, and then, he of course had, like tons of brilliance after his injury, but he never was able to quite recover, sort of that greatness of his first few years in the NBA because, injuries are injuries. But his number was retired by the Chicago Bulls. I think it was last weekend, or maybe it was the weekend before that. I can't remember exactly when, but it wasn't that long ago. And the next day, I saw his speech. I think I either saw it on my Instagram feed or TikTok feed or something like that. And I was very moved by it because it really spoke to me. And in fact, I sent, whatever clip of that speech that really resonated with me, I sent it to my kids because it's something that we talk about a lot in our home. And I thought it'd be something that would be great to talk about on this podcast because, I want to spread positivity. I want to energize you guys to maximize your potential, to dig deep within, and to be as great as you possibly can because there's amazing greatness that lives within each and every one of us. So I'm going to start. I'm actually going to read, it's a transcript of his words that night, and then I would like to talk about it a little bit. So here goes. So I think the way the night went down is they showed a montage of like his highlight reels and stuff about his life, etc. And then after that video stopped playing, he got up to say a few words, and this is what he said. This is all in quotes. And he starts off by saying, "I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. First off, I want to start off by thanking the Bulls for allowing this to go on. I want to thank every teammate that came here, flew from other places to make time, all you guys that came here to show love and support tonight. But I really want to talk to the kids. So in the beginning of the video, I mentioned to PJ, who's his son, do you want to be good or great? And he don't know, but that's my way of tricking him. So with me tricking him, I could be very specific and say, do you want to be good in basketball or great in basketball? But I want to make it broad. I want to make it broad so that when he say great, I can hold you accountable for everything in your life I see you not being great at. That's the same thing he passes on to his kids, his siblings. And that's a joke we have in our house. If they see me lacking on something, they say, Dad, you want to be good or great? And then make me remember I'm trying to be great. You hear me? Great. And this was actually a really touching part of the speech because his son was getting all teary-eyed and emotional watching him. It was a really beautiful moment. So if you get the chance to watch the video, I recommend you do. Maybe we'll throw a link of it in our description. To go on, and being great sometimes, you're going to be disliked. You have to show courage through that. People disliking you or whatever it is. I'm confident in my choice. I'm confident that I will make it. I want to be great. You want to be great. I told you, and you all too. Greatness and great. I don't see you falling off nowhere under that. And that's him talking to his son, which was really beautiful. So thank you, Chicago, for forcing me to be great, putting those expectations on me, not understanding that I was trying to be great that entire time too. And I just didn't know the environment that I was in or that was forcing me to. So thank you to everybody that watched me ever since I was in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, injuries, MVP, playoff losses, playoff wins. Thank you. But I must say that is going to be the old Pooh, which is his nickname. This new version of me is what you see. I'm a businessman now. Thank you. So those were his words. And I absolutely love that line. I love the interaction he was having with his son. when he said, do you want to be good or do you want to be great? Because being good is not that hard. Being great is something to really strive for. And I've talked about this in other podcasts. I use like my Starbucks analogy a lot. So, a lot of times you go into a Starbucks and there's one barista who's like disproportionately getting the job done, just doing all those like sort of extra intangible things. When my daughter was in 6th grade, they started school very early. Middle school in our town starts like at 7:26, I think the first period starts. So I would drive my daughter to school and, she's got daddy wrapped around her little finger. So she would ask me to take her to Starbucks before school. So we'd leave a little bit early. We'd go to Starbucks. And there's one barista there that always make, she would get, I think she would get like a latte or something, a decaf latte, because she was in 6th grade. And the barista would put a little heart in her, like, design a little heart in like the foam of the latte. And, he had no reason to do that, but it was just such it was just such an amazing display of someone who wants to be great and not be good. Meanwhile, all the other baristas that I saw, and I'm not saying this is necessarily the case, but this is what I observed, we're just kind of like clocking in and clocking out, just kind of going through the motions, where this particular barista, he was there for the day and he said, you know what, I want to be here and I want to be the best barista there is. He was striving to be great, striving to be the best at his job. And that's what it's all about. Listen, through the years, I've been in practice for, coming on 16 years now. I'm getting old. And I've had, many an employee. And I could probably name on my hand the ones that approached a life with an attitude of being great. It didn't matter what they did. They just wanted to be, exerting the maximum amount of effort, doing the best that they can, rather than the majority of folks who just kind of clock in, clock out, really don't give a shit about what they're doing, and just want to kind of get through the day and just get their hourly wage or their paycheck. It's just sort of a means to an end. And that's no way to be. I frequently say, or someone frequently says, and I frequently steal the line, that the way you do anything is the way you do everything. I use fitness a lot as a paradigm for life, and you're never going to see a fit person who's not disciplined. If you're fit, that means at least 2 things, and probably 3 things, are dialed in your life. You work out, and you make the time to work out no matter what, even if you're under the weather or tired or whatever the case may be. Your diet is dialed in. You're basically very disciplined in the things that you eat. And the third thing is that you rest, because you need to rest in order to, recover from your workouts, etc. So I've never met a fit person who is not disciplined. The way the fit people do anything is the way they do everything. When my fitness aligned, I am, dialing on all cylinders with my personal stuff, with like my wife, with my kids, dialed in as a husband and a dad. I'm dialed in at work. I'm dialed in my personal stuff, with my fitness. Everything just falls into place. And I think what Derrick Rose was telling his son during the speech is that, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And if your goal is to be great, I'm not being specific that, I know you want to be great at basketball, but that means you also have to be great at school. You have to be a great sibling. All of those things are one thing. The goal is to be great at the things that you do. And being great literally just means doing the best you can, just trying your hardest, showing up, putting your best foot forward, putting the effort in, because that's how you tap into the amazing potential that lives within each and every one of us. And once you taste that potential, once you see the amazing things we're capable of doing, it just builds on itself. You just kind of keep digging deeper and deeper down, and you will reach heights that you never even thought possible for yourself. Trust me, I've lived it. I'm still living it. And the way to do that is to strive for greatness. So with that, I hope you all have a wonderful and restful weekend and are just ready to crush the week ahead. Let's get it.